You are entering the cosmos.
Hello, cadets. I'm General Howitzer, General Lemuel T. Howitzer, retired. I salute you. Welcome to the program. This program is a very special one because we are going to discuss probably Toho's greatest film of the Showa era, the early giant kaiju monster movies, which include Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Mothra, all of those. It's called Destroy All Monsters. First off, I want to say hello to my able-bodied assistant, Major Hazzard, who is on assignment right now.
Yes, I'm in a very super classified place. I don't want to give away anything, but it's a little snowy up here, and it might have something to do with an abominable you-know-what, but that's all I can say. Please don't make me say anything else.
Okay. I won't make you say anything else.
It might also be all I'm going to say is the thing is sometimes a four-letter word, you know, if you know what I mean, double entendre.
Okay. Well, again, I wish you a lot of success on there. I hope that you can still commentate.
I certainly will. I did want to greet Cadet Ross is here. He said one of my two favorite. That was when you were alone on screen. We are both right here on Cosmos, and Cadet Phipps is watching from YouTube, and he's busy. So we salute you. Thank you so much. We are your last line of defense, and you are the next generation cadets. We are educating you with our training film so that you will be prepared in the event of a big monster disaster.
And this is also an alien invasion film as well. So
exactly. We are the last line of defense of the whole universe. It's not just not just Earth.
We're going to try to do our best to educate you on what to do in any of these any and all of these circumstances. So a lot of monsters to cover this show, really. Again, we've got this was the first film. Well, okay, let me go back. Okay, Toho decided, since they were moving towards television and kid shows like Ultraman, which was also produced by Tsuburaya, IG Tsuburaya, the special effects people that did the early Godzilla films, Rodan, Mothra, and such. So they said this is going to be our last big monster foray. So we're going to put them all in here, and it's going to be one big gigantic monster extravaganza. And it made so much money they decided to do some follow-ups. So and that kept the series going for another 7 years till 75. So it's an interesting film. It's an interesting training film. And again, it's the first one to suggest that there is a, quote, monster island. They call it Monsterland in this, like it's Jurassic Park or something.
It's like a theme park. It sounds very, very entertaining.
Yeah, but you don't want to go there because it's full of giant monsters that will eat you. And we'll go into that, and we'll go into the effectiveness of having a place where all these monsters can be contained instead of just killing them all. So we don't have any problems with them anymore. We'll see what the effectiveness is of that a little later on. So let's go ahead and start our timeline for the movie. This is a Toho film, and that's the logo for the Toho movies. Back in the 1960s. This is 1968. This training film came out. Destroy All Monsters. Starts off right away with the hey, how you doing, Madeline? Starts right off with the title card. UN. The UN is They have their own setup with space missions. They've kind of taken over NASA, I guess, and they're sending rockets up to the moon. They've got a moon base all set up. It's nice. This is the future, according to Toho. And right after they send this rocket up into the sky, we get the opening credits and the military theme. Ironically, dun, 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 dun. So this is Monsterland, and of course Godzilla's there. He's the king of the monsters. I love the way Godzilla looks at this. This is my favorite Godzilla design. I think I just like the way he looks at this.
He looks very enchanting and very warm and inviting.
I don't know if I would say that. But all right. Rodan.
He looks very cuddly, General. I'm not going to lie. But it's deceptive. It's very deceptive. If you see Godzilla, you should not be trying to give him a hug. It's not advised.
So this is the fourth time that we've seen Rodan. The original picture. Then Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, they brought Rodan back. Monster Zero, they brought Rodan back. And then this one. That was Anguirus. They call him Anguirus in this film. The American dub versions usually call him Anguirus, short for Anguillosaurus. Mothra, in its infant stage. He's warm out, right? He'll roast your marshmallows. This is Gorosaurus. Okay, Gorosaurus was used a couple of years earlier in King Kong Escapes, and he's got an incredible power kick that he does. And again, they decided to bring him in for this movie. They obviously had the costume ready and available. There is Mothra and Gorosaurus in the same area. Now, what they say is that on this island, there are security sprays and anti-Mothra, anti-Godzilla sprays and stuff to keep them in place. And Rodan can fly around the island without being hampered. This is Mothra heading to the beach. Mothra tries to escape the island. A sensor will set off some anti-Mothra spray. Mothra doesn't like it, turns on his heels. Does Mothra have heels? I don't know. And heads the other way. This is like a smorgasbord of monsters, yes. Yeah, they're all on one island. There's Godzilla. He's making his way towards the ocean. But he's not getting away. They have an anti-Godzilla setup. There it is, spraying out across the water. Godzilla doesn't like it. He actually does one of those, and he spins on his heels and goes back into the island. So
there he is, looking very inviting. He looks very cute, very adorable.
Only you. Only you.
Is that the face only a mother could love, General?
That's a face only a mother could love. Definitely Mothra is a face that only a mother can love.
And I think this is time for you to talk about the Stegosaurus likeness.
Oh, yeah, the spines on his back. We've said this before on the show. Godzilla is most likely a kind of a mutant cross between a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a Stegosaurus, because he's got those kind of Stegosaurus stalagmites on the back of his body. And they light up when he shoots atomic fire from his mouth, which I find interesting that they would do that. Again, Rodan has got a little field of a barrier that he can fly within. And yeah, his cuteness will be the end of Major Hazzard. Boy, you got that right. It's like Bambi meets Godzilla. So yeah, Rodan spies a school of killer whales, and boom, goes down there, or porpoises. Maybe it's porpoises. What do you think? They're big. And he dives down and gets one. They can eat as much food as they can catch. That's what they say. There's a narration at this part in the beginning of the film when they're talking about Monsterland. It's funny, there's no narration at any other point in the film, just explaining Monsterland. And there's Rodan with his big wings and little tiny hands. And a killer whale in his mouth. Major Hazzard can hold her own. Against Godzilla? Let me tell you.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. No, I would be able to find a way around it as a scientist and as a big monster specialist. I would certainly be able to understand how to defeat him. Thank you so much for your confidence.
Breaking up a little bit. Okay. So, okay. So now we have the helicopter going into a little silo to the control area where they actually keep an eye on the monsters. And again, they run those sensors. Whenever the monster looks like he's going to try to escape the island, they stop it. So, yeah. And there's the monitors. They got one on Godzilla, one on the son of Godzilla. And this is Kiko. She's the new person on the island, and that's her boyfriend, who is the head of the S3 space rocket, the one that we saw shooting up into space earlier. He's on the moon now. He's calling her, and he's teasing her. I would wet my pants if I saw Godzilla, if he looked at me. Kind of like the kid did in Revenge of Godzilla's Revenge. There's the moon base. Part of it. And there he is. He's inside the moon base. They wear red jumpsuits and red hats there. And he's got a nice bright yellow and silver space outfit. Pretty wild space outfits in this. And they wear yellow jumpsuits down on Monster Island. Yeah, you know, or Monsterland. But the power goes out. Uh-oh, this is not good. The power goes out on Monsterland. And then they see, okay, this is a weird part. They see yellow smoke coming from under a door. So the professor who's in charge here, he's the acting in charge professor, he goes and opens the door. Oh, let's take a look. And lets all the gas in. And it knocks him out. And what's happening is they're being invaded. They're being invaded by invaders from another planet. And even the monsters are getting yellow gassed. And what they're going to try to do, there's Anguirus, is they're going to try to control the monsters to have them attack different places, key places in the world. There's Rodan falling on Anguirus. So they've lost contact with Monsterland, and they're like, "Oh, this is not good. What the hell?" So they try to get the contact back, which they do, and that's the actual head of Monsterland right there in the center. And all of a sudden, Rodan is attacking Moscow, which is, you know, a long way away. But Rodan got there instantly somehow, and he's attacking Moscow. And he's not yellow gassed or anything. He's pretty awake. This is actually Gorosaurus coming up through the ground at the Arc de Triomphe. Somebody in the movie says it's Baragon, a subterranean creature, but it's not. Baragon's not attacking France. It's Gorosaurus. And there's Rodan again. And this guy's in the room. He's kind of like in the war room all the time. Godzilla's in New York. I don't know how he already got to New York that fast. It's just been minutes. But Godzilla's in New York. And he's attacking. He's attacking the shoreline there. So the SY-3 is called back to Earth. You got to find out what the hell's going on here. You got to go to Monster Island and check it out. They got those funky space helmets. They get to Monster Island, and again, the power is low. And they're showing a video to these guys of the monsters attacking different places in the world for them. They got control of the monsters. So they finally meet the head of the Kilax. The Kilax. And she's like, oh, she's happy all the time. She's always smiling. We're going to take over your world now. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to give us the world and we're going to destroy it. Some unfortunate looking helmets. Thank you. So one of the guys from the S3 gets a little antsy and he goes to attack, and she's got a big force field that electrifies him or that zaps him. So you can't attack the Keelak leader. The other girl, who is the guy's girlfriend, she's being a total biatch, and she's controlled by the aliens, the Keelaks. So they said, okay, we're going to gas you. So they try to gas these guys to get them to join, and there's a big firefight breaks out. I love this guy's expression when the bullet goes right through his head. Anyway, yeah, we're using real bullets on Earth, not these little toy zap guns. So they get the professor, who's been taken over by the Keelaks, and they take him back to Tokyo. And you know, he's not very cooperative. He jumps out the window. That's the dummy on the right hand side. It is one of the worst dummy drops in the history of movies and training films. It's so obviously a dummy. So whoever was the special effects person for that scene got sacked. I'm banking. Looks more like he's copping a field than attacking. Yeah, that's true. He does look like he was ready to. Yeah. So she zapped him. So he's fallen out of the 3-4 story window. He's down on the beach now. And then she shows up again, Kiko, and a couple of the guys from Monsterland, now working for the Keelaks. And then our guys show up. They were there all the time. So we're shooting, and it's going back and forth, and they're trying to get the professor's body and drag him off the beach, and then they end up running. And our guys run after him. And so they take it out. They do a little autopsy on the doctor, the professor there from Monsterland, and they find a transmitter, a little tiny thing in the back of his neck. And it turns out to be an alien transmitter. Very advanced technology. And I don't know why the pilot of the XY3 has to be there for that, but there, you know. And there's the technology on the left-hand side that we're looking at, and on the right-hand side, it's the wavelength that we see coming towards that transceiver. So they've discovered the wavelength, and they're finding these coconut-sized transmitters at various locations around the world. They're finding them in church steeples. They're finding them in cliffs. They're finding them in coconut trees, for crying out loud, because the things are like coconuts. That's about the size of them. Yeah, they're finding them up in the Andes Mountains. That's probably where Major Hazzard is right now. And they start releasing Tokyo's Most Wanted. Okay, I know you're not supposed to say anything. You're not supposed to tell me where you are. Including Kiko. Yes, confidential. Just put the lime in them, huh? What? So she shows up in Tokyo, and the two guys are, they don't see any scar on her neck.
That's what that was about. You put the lime in. It's a song lime reference, General. Eat it all up, yeah. Right, that's what he's referencing.
Lime in the coconut, eat it all up. Yeah, I know. So there's no scar on her neck. There's no transmitter hidden in her neck. It's in the earrings. Oh, these clever Keelaks. And then, of course, Rodan attacks. Rodan attacks Tokyo. Tokyo has been spared. Until now. And then the Keelaks attack with Rodan first. Then Godzilla shows up. He's there. And then Manda. Manda shows up. Manda is from the movie A Dragon from 1963. He was a monster. They say they were going to the underwater city of Mu. That's their god, and they were going to unleash him on Tokyo to destroy Tokyo. But we don't get to actually see him do any destruction in the movie. He goes up against the Atragan submarine, and it gets frozen, and he doesn't go to attack Tokyo. So we never see how much damage Manda can do. Here we get to see some of what he can do. Godzilla, you know, using, see how the fins light up on his back when he shoots the atomic ray? So Manda is wrapping himself around a train line. He's going to pull that sucker down. I love that shot. Manda, light of my life. And not to be confused with Amanda. It's Amanda. Don't get me wrong. Oh, can we go back to that slide, the one that we were just watching? When he pulls that track down, if you look to the bottom left of that scene, you'll see a little toy derrick. It's red. Fall over. You know, because it's just a little toy plastic thing and it just falls over. Anyway, and it looks really, really fake. Anyway, so Godzilla takes the building down. It looks like an apartment building. Looks like something on Sesame Street. I don't know why, but there it is. He just knocks it right down. And Manda looks happy with the destruction he's done. Again, it was nice for the fans to actually see Manda in action. Manda was only in a Dragon and this movie. And I think they did a reboot. I'm sorry. They took one of the scenes from this movie and showed it again in Godzilla's Revenge, saying that Manda was on the island, Monster Island. But that's it. We don't get to see Manda again until 2004, and then he's upgraded to a CGI character. The general says, attack! And the missiles and the tanks and everything are ready. And they're just shooting up the whole place. Urban renewal. Shooting at Rodan, shooting at Godzilla, shooting at Manda. And they're just destroying the whole place. They're doing more destruction than the monsters, you know, with shooting the missiles. And then Mothra shows up. So there's four of them right there in that district. So yeah, they just, it's a mess. After it's all over, it's a mess. Tokyo has fallen. Now she shows up brazenly at the big meeting. You know, all cocky, saying, you know, you need to surrender. And then her boyfriend is like, yeah, come here, you. And he tears her earrings out. He realizes the earrings must be how they're controlling her. So he tears them right out. Her ears bleeding on both sides. Yeah, see, this is, oh, I'm sorry, these are real earrings. Sorry. I got this feeling like, you know, he's an idiot and he does something like that, and then it turns out to be nothing. No, anyway, no,
little awkward.
No, it's the earrings were the actual transmission device. So he pulls them out of her ears. I mean, he could have taken them out. You know, he didn't have to yank the bottoms of her earlobes off. I thought that was a little rough. So anyway, she can't remember anything. They're hoping that she's going to tell them where the key lock base is. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't remember anything after when she was gassed with the yellow gas and Monster Island at the beginning of the film. So SY3 gets a tip that there might be a key lock activity at Mount Fuji. So they go to check it out. And the military goes to check it out. And sure enough, Godzilla's there. Protecting. He is protecting. So the mighty military show up. Look at those toy tanks. Look at those. Impressive. And they lay into Godzilla. And then Anguirus shows up. Now, this is an important scene because this is the first time that Anguirus and Godzilla fought together, fighting against the military. Anguirus was Godzilla's foe in the second Godzilla movie, Godzilla Raids Again. It was actually the first time Godzilla fought a monster was Anguirus. And they tore through Tokyo. And Godzilla killed Anguirus by pulling the jaw open. You know, this is a King Kong move, but he actually did it in that movie. And from this moment on, from this film on, from this scene on, Godzilla and Anguirus like that. They're best buds. They hang out with each other. They fight with each other. I mean, fight together. against other monsters like Ghidorah and stuff and Gigan. So this is the first time they were actually fought together. And they tear up the military. The military ends up leaving with their tail between their legs and said, oh, we'll come in on foot tomorrow, during the day. And we'll hide while we look for the key lock base. We won't bring any tanks or anything they can destroy. Because you can see, Anguirus just steps on them and just destroys them. Now, SY3, while they are patrolling, they see a spaceship. So they know they're in the right area. They know that the key lock base has got to be there somewhere. Because there's a spaceship, right? That's a key lock spaceship. And then Rodan shows up. And Rodan gives them a hard time. So again, they know they're in the right area because the monsters are protecting that area. So they go back the next day. They go on foot so they can stay low. Godzilla's looking for them. They have to, again, lay low in the forest there. And they come across a cave while they're waiting for Godzilla to pass by. And in that cave, they find the Keelax. But the Keelax are like closing doors and opening lights and stuff. They know they're there. They let them come in, that kind of thing. They're like, we let you come in. We wanted to tell you something. Smiling again. Now, the girl on the far left, I am the Eggman. You are the Eggman. The girl on the far left is actually the lead actress for a movie that came a couple of years later called Yog, Monster from Space. Just a little trivia note there. This was her first movie, I think, for Toho, and again, they decided to give her the lead female role in Yog, Monster from Space, also known as the Space Amoeba. So basically, again, they give them the message: look, we want you to surrender. Surrender peacefully. Everything will be fine. And they said, we'll let you go to pass on our message. But they get a message from the moon base that some of the signals are going back and forth from the moon base, from a crater to Earth. So they're going to check that out, see if maybe that's the signal that might be, controlling the monsters. So they go to check it out. And they land in the crater, and sure enough, the crater fire starts coming out of the walls of the crater. They're going to try to destroy the ship. So they know that they're in the right place. Something is trying to destroy the ship. So they get out of the bottom of the ship, a little like kind of a tank rover kind of thing. It's got a laser on it. Got a big laser cannon mounted on top. There it is. This is kind of like the rover from Lost in Space. I see some similarity there. I can't remember the name of that. But in any case, they start zapping at the force field there with the laser, and eventually it gives way. It blows up. And they look surprised, like, hey, how did they do that? And, okay, now the Keelax have to have extreme hot conditions to survive normally. If the air gets cool, they shrivel up into like a metal, like a chunk of metal. So they're kind of a metal kind of creature. And again, that happens when they get cold. So they kind of hibernate, I guess, like lizards. There they are, shrinking into that metal. And again, they can stay in that state for hundreds of years probably. And then, when the time is right and it gets hot enough, they can come back out. Now, they find what's the source of the signal that's going to Earth. It is the machine that's controlling the monsters. They decide to laser cut it. So they pull a laser gun off the top of the ship. The rolling rover thing, and they use it like handheld with a wire attached to it to zap the base of this controller. And there's a big long scene where there's just zapping at it and zapping at it and zapping at it and nothing's happening. And then it starts to falter a little bit, and then it starts to move, and the wire starts to catch fire. And it's just to show you how, bad it is, how dangerous this is. And eventually the thing gives way. And they're very happy back at Monster Island. Hey, they did it. The monsters are not on their control anymore. And that's, the whole place blows up, and S3 gets out of there. Why not? Why stick around? Wait for it to blow up around us. So the captain of the spaceship is talking to the head of Monster Island, and he says the monsters are in our control now. They're no longer in the Keylak control, so we're good and fine. They're going to meet up at Mount Fuji, and they're going to start attacking the Keylaks. So the news reporters are already there before the monsters show up, naturally. And the first one to show up is son of Godzilla, Minya, otherwise known as Mania, and of course Godzilla, with his cute little button nose and puffy face. Then Anguirus shows up, Anguirus and Gorosaurus. Now the news reporter calls this Spaiga, but his actual name is spelled Kamunga in Toho. But he says, Spaiga is here. Go figure.
Absolutely terrifying. You do not want to come across this in your bathroom. I can tell you that.
That's a big spider. That's a big ass spider. And now we have Manda again, which is, he's kind of like a giant snake. He's got little feet, but he's like a giant snake. And on the left there is Baragon, which is actually from Frankenstein Conquers the World. Baragon is a tunneling subterranean monster. And that's the only, there's only 2 shots of him in this movie, but he's there. He's there for the big fight at the end of the movie. Rodan swings in. Mothra's in there. And then up in the sky, King Ghidorah shows up. He's working for the Keylaks. King Ghidorah is a 3-headed space dragon, flying space dragon. And when he shows up, it's trouble. And the Monsterland crew is like, he can't be ours. He must be with the aliens. I forgot to pull down Baragon. Let me see if I can pull down Baragon from the shelf here. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't use the Kamakura in this film. They did in 2004. Hey, there is Baragon. Again, he's a subterranean tunneling monster. While I'm here at this point in the film, and it's only halfway through the show, let me do a little kaiju collector show. This is Gorosaurus. These are all the Bandai action figures from Tokyo. And again, he looks like Godzilla, but he doesn't have the big spines on his back. His face is a little bigger. And of course, Anguirus, spiny back. From this point on, a friend to Godzilla. This is the Kamanga, called Spaiga by the news guy in this movie. And again, when his eyes get red, that means he's serious. It's attack time. But nice figure. Not an easy one to find. Oh, the son of Godzilla.
Hi, how you doing?
Godzilla says you gotta fight your own battles. That's actually the voice that they use for the American dub for Godzilla's Revenge. Hey there, what you doing? Sounds like Goofy from from Disney. And then, of course, the 1968 Godzilla. Dun, 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 dun. So, again, they're all here at Mount Fuji for this giant battle royale. And King Ghidorah shows up. So, King Ghidorah is a strong monster. And again, the Keylaks are like, just let us know when you're ready to surrender. King Ghidorah is working for us. So Ghidorah shows up, and he first attacks Anguirus. Anguirus, Anguirus, I don't think has ever won a fight in any of the Toho movies, and not once. But he is a tenacious fighter. I mean, he is a fighter. But he's just kind of small, and again, his defenses are short. He has a spiky back. And there's Rodan and Minya and Mothra, their reactions to King Ghidorah. I found out that if you put 3 pictures in a slide presentation in PowerPoint, it gives you all kinds of weird designs, and how you put these 3 pictures together. So Ghidorah flies over. Godzilla's got his eye on him, won't take his eye off. As Godzilla, I mean, that's his usual. He's very, very smart fighter. Ghidorah lands. And of course, Ghidorah zaps you with yellow electric bolts. Some say that, actually in 2004, those bolts actually caused Godzilla to levitate. They were kind of like anti-gravity bolts. But for this part, it's, electrical, zapping with electricity. Godzilla's moving in behind him. Gorosaurus is having to back up a little bit because of the lightning bolts. And again, Anguirus, Mothra, and Spyga are actually shooting web over King Ghidorah, which this has been, in the past, Mothra, 2 Mothras actually took out a Godzilla this way in 1964. And, Mothra versus Godzilla. Otherwise known as Godzilla versus the Thing. So Godzilla tries to grab King Ghidorah from behind, and Anguirus moves in and bites one of King Ghidorah's 3 necks. So King Ghidorah doesn't like that. So he flies up, and again, he's so powerful, he actually can lift that heavy body of Anguirus up with him. You would enjoy levitating. So Ghidorah bites him back. Dog bites dog. And Anguirus falls to the ground. And he lands on his back, the spiny back. Now, the important thing about this, even though King Ghidorah feeds him a new one, the good thing about this is when he lands here, there's a little earthquake there, a little impact there at Mount Fuji, and it actually shows us where the Keylak base is. Some sand falls down off the shield that is the Keylak base, and the monsters can see, and the people can see the Keylak base. And I believe that's next slide. Yeah, there it is. So now we know where the Keylak base is, thanks to Anguirus taking one for the team. Ghidorah moves in for the kill. Hear the horrible monster cries. He says something ridiculous like that. Oh, the humanity. So now the monsters surround King Ghidorah. It's like, you're not getting away this time. We are going to stomp you silly. So Godzilla moves in. And Gorosaurus does one of those monster kicks on Ghidorah, forcing him down to the ground, which is great. Anguirus moves in, and he bites a neck again. Godzilla begins stomping on one of Ghidorah's necks. This is literally and figuratively a stomping. Ghidorah is getting his ass fed to him by all these other monsters. I mean, it's like, oh, you have 8 of the mightiest monsters on Earth, but we have King Ghidorah. It's like, the last time I checked in Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, Godzilla and Rodan alone kicked his butt. So imagine throwing another 6 monsters in there. And ironically, the son of Godzilla does a little smoke ring around his neck there, and that's what does that middle neck in. Drops. And then kind of a fireball goes up there after Rodan and scorches him, burns him, causes him to fall back to Earth. And the Kilaaks are like, this is our fire dragon. And that's it going through a building. Let us know when you are ready to surrender. Why, you dirty, rotten, ragged, fragging, scratch it. But what's funny here is, and I wanted to show the progression of the face, is she's all smiles until she hears Godzilla's roar. And then it's like, uh-oh, he knows where we are. And that's when the time is over for the Kilaaks. Time to wind up the show because you ain't going to be here much longer. Godzilla zaps it first. The shield holds. Godzilla ends up putting his foot through it, which I love. If I can't zap it with my atomic breath, I'm going to put my foot through it. So yeah. So Godzilla breaches the Kilaak base. Black slide. And of course they change into, those little rocks. Now, it turns out that the fireball that was attacking Rodan in the building and all is just a spaceship. It's a Kilaak spaceship is what it is. So SY3 takes it out. Easily. And that, as they say, is that. So at the end of the movie, we're back where we began. The helicopter going around Monster Island, Monsterland. And this time it's got Kiko, her boyfriend, the SY3 captain, and the head of Monster Island all happily waving down to the monsters. There they are. Smiles. All smiles, everybody. Now, I mentioned the movie Yog Monster from Space. It's a 1971 film. The girl on the left there plays Kiko, has long hair in that film. She plays a native girl in that movie. She's not the main girl in the movie, but she's a native. And it's a very different look for her. And there's Baragon. And there's actually, if you look to the far right down below, they got Manda. The far right down below, that is Varan, Varan, Varan. He's only in the movie 2 times, and he just kind of floats up and over, and that's his move, and that's what he does because he can fly. He's like a flying squirrel. But this is the only time we see Varan in color. He doesn't really do anything, but it's interesting that they must have had a prop or something from the Varan movie that they used. And again, decided to throw him in as another monster in this, but he doesn't do anything. He doesn't really do anything. The original Varan, the Unbelievable, I think it is, or something like that, it's black and white. So this is the only time we see him in color, and he's kind of a brownish color. And again, he doesn't really do much of anything except hop from place to place. And then there's Godzilla. Mighty Godzilla. And his son is with him, and that's the end of the movie. They pan out from them far away, and then you see the island, and then you see the end in Japanese. So, Keelak invasion.
Yes.
They didn't really I mean, it was a pretty crappy invasion, actually. And that's what I like about this film. No matter what the aliens do, the military is always moving forward. They're always finding out how to kind of beat the aliens, you know, by finding out their signals, taking away the control of the monsters, you know. Yeah, we had our setbacks, but for the most part, you know, the Japanese government and their army handled it very well, this invasion. And again, when they got the monsters out of the Keelak's control, the monsters instinctively knew to fight the Keelaks and their monster, King Ghidorah. You know, he wasn't invited to the party. So the Keelaks were overconfident. This was their undoing. They were overconfident, these Keelak aliens. So, let's go back over the roster again of the monsters. In this movie, we had Godzilla, 1968. This particular Godzilla, which I really like, I mean, this is really where when he looked like this. I mean, he looks similar in Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, but then he changed for Son of Godzilla. Which I think it was his mother. He has a really small head in that. And then we go back to this kind of design, except he looks a little meaner in this. He doesn't look so friendly. And this one lasts for 4 years. 68, 69, 70, 71. Is in Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, this one. He's also in Godzilla versus Gigan. That was the last one that they used this suit, this look. So again, this is the one that's probably in the most movies from the Showa series. And then they turned him into puppy dog face for Megalon. I like to call him puppy dog face. And there's Pyga, also known as Kamunga. Anguirus. The son of Godzilla. I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing you. Gorosaurus. Gorosaurus was back for this one. The only two movies that we see Gorosaurus, I take that back. There's 3 movies, because in Godzilla's Revenge, he's in the scene where the kid comes on the Monster Island and he says, "It's Brosaurus." He calls him Brosaurus. So only 3 films. And then he disappeared. He was gone. King Kong escapes, destroy all monsters, and then a redo of a scene that he had already done before at the beginning of Revenge, Godzilla's Revenge, which is called All Monsters Attack, I believe. So, and, Baragon. From Frankenstein Conquers the World. He fought Frankenstein. And Manda. That's the sound he makes. And those were the monsters in this movie, in this film. Varan, again, doesn't really do that much. He's in a couple of shots. I can't think of anybody else. Did I miss somebody? Oh, Rodan. Of course, Rodan. I do not have a Rodan from 1964, which actually lasted through 1968. He's kind of a bird-like Rodan. He's gone through many different incarnations. They brought him back in the 90s, the Fire Rodan in Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the second one. 1992, I believe it was, or 93. And then they brought him back again in 2004 for Godzilla Wars. And he was a different design in that. So again, their best idea for these kaiju, for these monsters, to put them all on an island. Put them all on an island and just leave them there. And they can have fun with each other. They can fight with each other. They can eat the food from around the island, wild hogs. I don't know. So I have to question that thinking. Put these creatures down. Silence them forever. That's what I say. You can study their dead carcasses all you want. I don't care. But they're menaces. They destroy cities. Thousands of people die, when these creatures go by. Even if they're quote friendly and try to save humanity, they cause a lot of destruction. So I'm not really down for that, because I think they can escape Monster Island. That's very very clear later in later films too, like Godzilla versus Gigan. Anguirus and Godzilla leave Monster Island and come back as many times as they like. They're like free to come and go. And Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla, again, Godzilla gets off of Monster Island pretty easily. So that idea is not working for me. What do you think, Major Hazzard?
I would think that that's not working at all. Cadet is weighing in and saying, well, if they're living on the seafood, they'll probably die from mercury poisoning, which is a very, very good take. It's possible. It's very possible.
A slow death from mercury
It wouldn't
poisoning.
be a happy death. I can tell you that. It's not good. He also says, General and Major, excellent show. We are in good hands. Two of you. That's right. The last defense. You are in very good hands as long as you pay attention. Watch all the training films. Follow our advice. What's your biggest takeaway and your advice for the general public, General, from this particular training film?
Again, the monsters should be exterminated. In 2004, the same thing happens. The aliens take over the monsters and have them attack the places in the earth. And again, it's Anguirus, but they add to that King Caesar. They add to that Ibera or Abira, monster from the deep. The smog monster, Ghidorah, comes back. So yeah, they get control of the monsters, and even the good ones, the ones that are supposedly protect mankind, and they use them against mankind. They use them to destroy the world. If you don't have the monsters here, no problem. Then it's just the aliens fighting our military. And our military is pretty good at fighting aliens and invaders from other planets, other solar systems. So, I know you guys like Godzilla. You love Godzilla and Mothra and all that. But, I think there would be a lot less problems if we just exterminated them. If we just got rid of them, dissected them,
He's probably
studied them.
Public safety, but he's kind of endearing, and I feel like if we could just convert his energy into something useful, if we could find a way to have him be on our side and to harness his wildness, it would be wonderful. He could, there's many things that he might be able to do to contribute. We might have to look at it.
When you use things like harness his wildness as your defense, it doesn't hold much water.
Well, it's possible. I'm just saying, every
our military is doing amazing things. Yes.
Our military is even better. aliens. We're not hiding the aliens, Cadet Ross. I know people think we're hiding the aliens, but you know.
Area 55.
Don't think about it. We don't want to say anything. Madeline says, make shoes and pocketbooks out of them, save the alligators.
I don't know. I don't know if a Godzilla bag, you know, I mean, it'd be pretty rare. Gorosaurus boots. You know, that's an idea. That's an idea. That would be very expensive.
I think we should explore all of the options.
Well, okay. Thank you, cadets, for joining us on this very special episode of General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing Room. This is episode 49, by the way. And next episode is going to be episode 50. So we're going to do a friend of ours movie, Rory Penland, next Tuesday. Deadly Species. It was a film that he wrote. He wrote the original screenplay for it. He's a very talented guy. He does voices, he sings, he dances. You know, he's quite the entertainer, but he's also a writer. He's written a couple of books, and he wrote a screenplay for a movie called Deadly Species. So we're going to actually do that for our 50th episode. I'm hoping, we haven't heard back from anybody yet, but I'm hoping that Rory will help us to get at least one person that was involved in the movie. Maybe an actor or an actress or the director or, you know, one of the producers to come on the show and follow through the timeline with us and tell us their experiences making the film as we go through the timeline. And say, oh, I remember this part. Yeah, this is when. Yeah. So hopefully we get some good stories, some juicy stories about the making of that movie. So there it is. So that'll be next Tuesday. And again, we'll be here next Thursday as well. And I'm hoping that you'll join us for those. And I'm hoping that you'll go back and look at some of the other 48 episodes that we've done before this one. Because some of them are pretty amusing, pretty entertaining. And thank you, Major Hazzard, for helping me to bring this to the masses.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be here and to serve.
Very good. All right, everybody. Have a good time the rest of your day, and keep an eye out for those big monsters.
Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week.